My name is Kasmira Warawa. I am from St. Albert, Alberta, and I am a third-year student here at St. Therese. And this Sunday, I will be reflecting on Luke chapter 2, verses 22 to 40, which is the presentation in the temple. This Sunday's Gospel on the Feast of the Holy Family is from the second chapter of Luke and is about the presentation of the temple. So Mary and Joseph bringing the child Jesus to the temple in Jerusalem to be presented. And I'm particularly struck by the person of Simeon in this chapter, the one who encounters Mary and Joseph and Jesus at the temple and rejoices. Simeon is a person who is guided by the Holy Spirit. It mentions in the Gospel the Holy Spirit was upon him, meaning that Simeon was attentive and listening to the Holy Spirit and responding to what the Holy Spirit was asking him to do. We see this in two ways that the Gospel mentions. The first one is that Simeon is told that he will not die before he sees the Messiah. And the second one is that the Holy Spirit was the one who told him to go to the temple that day. And I think it's so beautiful that Simeon responded to that, because perhaps if he had not been listening to the Holy Spirit that day, he would have not gone to the temple and he would have missed his opportunity to see the Messiah. Here at St. Therese, we have this saying about being led by a thread, meaning that we're not waiting for the Holy Spirit to yank us around and to have to speak in some sort of loud, booming voice, but rather we create a stillness in our hearts and we take some time to really listen to the Holy Spirit speaking gently in us. And that allows us to listen to what he is asking us to do, and most importantly, to respond, to act on what he was doing. So like Simeon, I want to create this disposition of being led by a thread. Simeon, being guided by the Holy Spirit, then has two responses to this. The first one is a response of praise. He sees Jesus and he begins marveling and praising with this huge canticle of praise, which is amazing. What also strikes me about this is perhaps he didn't fully understand how God was going to bring about this great work of the Messiah. In that time, people were expecting the Messiah to be this big military ruler, this powerful person, probably coming from a rich family, but rather Jesus walks in and it is very evident that Mary and Joseph are poor, and they are frankly two nobodies in the Jewish society. But Simeon in that moment still chooses to praise and to rejoice, even if he doesn't fully understand how God is going to bring out this great work through this child. So that is the first response, a response of rejoicing. The second response that Simeon has is a prophetic word. He mentions that Christ is going to be a sign of contradiction, and he looks at Mary and he says, "And a sword will pierce your own heart too." That is probably my favorite line in the whole gospel. And Simeon in that moment is alluding to the cross and how Mary, watching Jesus, her son, die on the cross, will also suffer with him. This is a call for us to have compassion. Simeon was not only giving that prophetic word to Mary, but was giving it to the whole church. And it was a call to have compassion. The word compassion, when you break it down, means to suffer with. So we are not only called to take on our own cross, but also called to have compassion for others and to suffer with others and their cross, just like Mary did with her son Jesus. So my three takeaways from this are: one, to rejoice and praise at the presence of the Messiah. It's Christmas, Christ is here. And that is a call to rejoice. Even if we don't fully understand the big picture or exactly what God is doing in our lives, that is a response that I want to have, rejoice. The second response I want to have is to not be afraid, to have compassion, and to not only pick up my own cross, but to suffer with others in theirs, and to have compassion in that way and be like Our Lady. Of course, these two things can't be done without the guidance of the Holy Spirit. So my last takeaway on this is I want to create a stillness in my heart where the Holy Spirit can come and dwell there, and I can listen to him and respond to what he is telling me. Come, Holy Spirit, come by the means of the powerful intercession of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, your well-beloved spouse.